not a lot of new material, things we already know. We know how to do rotations, reflections, it's all that good stuff. Now, the naming was really good. On our quiz, name the vector and write its component form. That was a little dicey. Let's start with the naming. First, the symbol. Make sure you have the vector symbol, of course. Now the question is it vector DC or CD? CD. Okay, nitpicky things, of course. When you name it, we got it named, the component form. Make sure you don't have parentheses. You have those actual vector symbols. And I saw just a couple of us had the numbers mixed around. So we got to be conscientious here. Do you count left to right first or up and down first? Left to right. It's always horizontal first and then the vertical. So from C to D, you count for me. How many over do you have to go?
6.
And then how many down do you have to go? 3. Since we're going down, got it. So just, I had a couple people like on the quiz that would put the -3 first and the 6 second. Just be conscientious so it's always horizontal first. Hey, it's been a while since we've done distance formula. We all love distance formula. Okay, you know I like to label. I'm going to label. No, we use a lot of distance formula in here. Obviously, it keeps coming up. Distance formula will be on the final exam, I can tell you that much. So remember your distance formula, x2 minus x1. We'll make it a plus and an x squared. And then let's do the y's. y2 minus y1. So -11 minus 5 squared. So here's where you're going to need your calculator. Let me give you a second. Punch it in. I rounded to 1 decimal place. Let's see what you got. Too easy, right? Okay, any questions? Bless you, on distance formula. All right, the entire rest of the front page of your notes, I feel like you already know, my friends. We're going to talk on this front page, how to identify congruent figures. Well, I think you know how to do that. They have the same size, same shape, of course. And then we're going to get into some more transformations. So not a lot of things to fill in, just a few vocab words here for us. So identifying congruent figures. So 2 geometric figures are congruent figures if and only if there is a rigid motion or composition of rigid motions that maps one of the figures into the other. Congruent figures have the same size and shape. So as always, vocabulary. Remember, if we're not changing the shape and size of it, we call that a rigid motion, an isometry, or sometimes even a congruence transformation, all the things. So again, these are just some pictures, you know this. Obviously these shapes are all congruent to each other. They're just maybe rotated or flipped around. Who cares? They're all the same size and shape. Obviously these triangles on the right hand side are different sizes and shapes and they're not congruent. I think you guys can handle that. So, identify congruent figures in the coordinate plane. Okay, all right. Well, there's several pairs of them. I would start with the easiest one, meaning I like the square. So, I'm going to start with that. Can you find the congruent figure to it? Find the other square, right? So, I'm just going to name these. Nothing fancy here. I'm just going to name them. Now, when we name 4-sided figures, we have an entire chapter on 4-sided figures, quadrilaterals. We use our little quadrilateral symbol. That might be new to you. I'm just going to call the top one, I'm going to go A, B, C, D. And then quadrilateral. And I'm just going to call the other one N, P, Q, R. All right, we have some triangles, different sizes of triangles, so we got to look closely. I'm going to start with this guy. So I'm going to start with triangle STU. Oh man. What is triangle STU congruent to? Which one? HIJ. HIJ. I know, this is pretty exciting stuff, isn't it? I miss writing proofs. All right, and then obviously those last pair of triangles are going to be the congruent ones. Same size. So let's just name them. I'm going to call the top one FEG. FEG. I said it, I can't write FEG. And then I'm going to call the other one, let's go with LKF. So I have a pretty good feeling you probably wouldn't have needed my help to figure out the answers to example 1, right? Any questions on congruent figures? Riveting stuff. I know, okay, flip the page. More vocabulary that, guess what, you really already know, my friends. Congruent transformations. I've been saying that word, phrase, the whole chapter with rigid motion, isometry, all the same stuff. So another name for rigid motion or combination is called a congruence. That's what you got to fill in on the blank. Transformation. Because the pre-image, remember pre-image is what you start with, and the image are congruent. The terms rigid motion and congruence transformation are interchangeable. You know that, I've said it all chapter. And then just like it says, obviously the other term, isometry. Same stuff, you already know it. Okay, here we go. Describe a congruence transformation that maps quadrilateral, those are better quadrilateral symbols than the ones I drew when we named them, A, B, C, D. So this guy, mine's in blue, we have to map to the green. Now, there's a couple different ways to do this. Congruent transformations, so 2. So you probably have 2 things that happen. You might have a translation, up, down, left, right. You might have a reflection, a rotation. It's a free-for-all. Couple ways to do this. So the first thing, remember, you're starting at the blue. So I'm like, well, I think if I flip the blue over the x-axis and slide it over, I can get it to map onto itself. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to reflect it over this x-axis. So A is 1 unit above it, 1 unit below it. B, 1 above, 1 below. And I'm just going to A prime, B prime, nothing crazy. You know how to do this. Okay, I'm going to do C. C is 1, 2, 3 above, so 3 below. Got it. D is 1, 2, 3 above, 3 below. Okay. All right, so I like that. I like that. I like how it looks because I have it flipped over so it looks the same shape over here. So the first thing I'm going to put that what I did to my first move, because it wants you to describe it, well, I didn't do anything too fancy. I reflected it over the x-axis. I'm just going to put reflect over x-axis. So that got you to the red. So the question now is, what are you going to do to get this over to the green? How are you going to get it to map to the green? Well, we really just have to move it over how many? 5. If I move this over, 1, 2, 3, that will be there. I just have to slide it over 5. So of course, you know, my love of vocabulary, when you just move up, down, left, or right, that's a translation. So I'm going to say translate 5 left. So you're just describing how to get to the figure. Now, there is another option. There's always more than one way here. So let me ask you this. Let me erase all my markings here because, of course, I made a big mess on this picture. Let me erase all of this. Hang on. So this is what makes this so fun when we're like checking the answers to these, because there is more than one way to do it. Meaning, you could reflect it over the y-axis. So if I do 2 away, 2 away, 1, 2, 3, 4, 4, 1 away, 1 away, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. So I could reflect it over y, and then I could move it down. So there are other choices. So don't be like, oh, well, I did y and then I moved it down. You can get it to map onto itself. There is more than one correct, perfect way to do these, which is what makes it so fun to grade. All right, here we go. Let's take a look at this. Describe a congruence transformation that maps, mine's in blue, the blue one, triangle JKL to this one. So take a minute, see what you can come up with. So I want the blue to map to the green. So the first thing when I look at this is I want this blue triangle, I'm trying to get it to be the same shape of the green one, meaning like the pointy parts at the top, I kind of want the pointy part at the bottom. So that's an easy reflection. Just flip it over your x-axis. So I'm going to reflect it. So L is 2 up, 2 below. 2 up, 2 below. I swear everybody's getting sick. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2. So there's my K. Okay, I like that. So I'm going to put reflect over X. I'm going to try to sneak axis on there, but I'm kind of in the picture. That's okay. And then to get it onto the green, how many do you have to move it? Down it. 5 which way? Right? And I'm going to be fancy with my vocab and say that we are translating it. Got it. Probably the quickest way to do it. So first like I said, there's always more than one right way to do these. Just kind of how I approach it is I try to get the same shape going first, meaning pointy parts on the top, pointies at the bottom, so I'm going to flip it and make the pointy at the bottom, and then I just figure out if I have to move it up, down, left, or right. That's kind of how I do them, if that helps the cause. Hey, more vocabulary. Here, let's see what this is. Reflection in parallel lines theorem. Man, that sounds fancy. If lines K and M are parallel, then a reflection in line K followed by a reflection in line M is the same as a translation. That's a mouthful. Okay, let's look at this picture. This is way easier than what it says. I promise. So you're going, and again, this is where I wish we had the color copy machines. We're going from the blue to the red to the green. So here's what is happening. So if you reflect the blue over that line, you end up at the red. If I reflect the red over the line, I end up at the green. So notice though, the original picture and what you end up with are the same segment, just translated to the right. So all of this is telling you that a double reflection is the same thing as just a translation, a slide. So if you reflect it twice, it's the same thing as just sliding it over. Same thing. Just fancier way to look at it, I guess. So that's what we're going to look at the next picture. I'm going to give you a sec tonight. Man, we got just easy stuff the rest of the way. You just got to be good at analyzing the pictures. Not so much drawing today, which is kind of nice. It's more analyzing the pictures. Let me slide this up so the picture's down at the bottom. So in the diagram, a reflection in line K maps the blue one. So they reflect it over to the red, and then they reflect the red to the green. They also tell you, I'm just going to mark this on the picture, HB 9. And they also tell you H double prime to D is 4. Okay, H double prime 4. All right, so I'm just going to label the given stuff because I have a feeling we're going to need that here in a second. So let's start with A. Name any segment congruent to each segment. All right, I'm going to do A down here. So GH. So it started with GH, so I'm looking over there at GH. Okay, well, we're looking to see what is GH, of course, congruent to. The blue segment is the same size as the red and the same size as the green. They're all the same size. They're isometries, they're just reflected. So I'm going to say, okay, it's congruent to the red, G prime, H prime. And it's congruent to the final one because they're all the same size, which is our G double prime, H double prime. Good. Now, this is so fun because they have 3 segments in here, so we've got to look at all 3 of them here. So HB next. HB. All right, well, let's look at HB. So HB, this one. Oh, okay, all right. So I'm looking to see what is HB going to be congruent to. Well, remember, when you reflect it, you go the same units past the line. So meaning you're 9 here, you went 9 here, so it's going to be congruent to this guy. So I'm going to say it's congruent to BH prime. So let me put a segment symbol on there. All right, and then let's do GA. I'm running out of room. Now, kind of the same spiel here. I'm looking at GA. I'm going to do a 2 blue on this. What is GA congruent to? A to what? G prime. They're the same distance, just on the opposite line. So let's put a segment symbol here. Got it. All right. That was only part A. We got to answer all this other stuff, and I'm really running out of room already. So let's look at B. I hope B is going to be easy. Hopefully a yes or no. Does AC equal BD? So let's take a look at that. So AC AC, is that going to be the same as BD? What do we think? Yeah. No. I'm just going to put yes because I'm running out of room there. Okay. What is the length of G to G double prime? Okay, well G to G double prime, of course, is the same as the top one. So I'm kind of working off the top one just because remember they gave you this information at the beginning of the problem. So it's like, okay, cool. If that's 9, I know we said these are congruent, that's 9. If this guy is 4 to the right of the line, of course they went 4 to the left. So total that up for me. What's the total of the top? What's 9 plus 9 plus 4 plus 4? So isn't the bottom going to be the same length? Yeah, so I'm just going to say, well, I'm going to sneak it next to it because clearly I'm running out of room. So 9 plus 9 plus 4 plus 4. We just straight added them. This is as wild as it gets today. So last thing I'm going to show you. So a double reflection is a translation. You can slide it over. We're going to talk about rotations a little bit again. What a double rotation is here. So nothing really, a whole lot for you to fill in. There's one word you have to fill in, and then we'll talk about it. If lines K and M intersect at point P, then a reflection in line K followed by a reflection in line M is the same. That's the one word you got to fill in on the line, is a rotation. So what this is telling you, it's telling you. A reflection, a double reflection, 2 reflections. Why can't they make this easy? Equals a rotation. So that's what this theorem is telling you. So if you do it again, my blue, I reflect it again, that is the same as if I just rotate this guy all the way around. So a double reflection also is a rotation. Okay, so easy enough, don't stress it. We hardly have to do anything on this. I really wish we had color copy machines here. In the diagram, the figure is reflected in line K. The image is then reflected in line M. Describe a single transformation that maps F to F prime. Okay, so you're looking at the picture here, and you can see here they go into this one, the red goes to the green. But we want to get a single transformation that just goes from the green to the blue. We just want to get that one together. So you can see what they're doing here is they're reflecting it, reflecting it. Well, a double reflection is the same as a rotation. So I know that's what they're doing. They're rotating it. Double reflection is same as a rotation. And I'm going to get specific here. Let's give the degrees. So you can see they've got the angle, how many degrees? So they did 70 and then another 70. A double reflection. Mental math, that was 70 plus 70. And that is my single transformation. A double reflection equals a single rotation. Too easy, my friends. Okay, look at this picture. In the diagram, the pre-image is reflected in line K, then line M. So double reflection, double reflection. Describe a single transformation that maps the blue, well mine's blue, yours isn't in blue of course, the blue onto the green. So first off, a double reflection makes a single rotation. And I just need you to do a little mental math here for me. How many degrees? 160. 80 and 80, 160. This is too easy, my friends. All right, final little question here. A rotation of 76 maps C to C prime. To map C to C prime using 2 reflections, what's the measure of the angle formed by the intersecting line? Okay, well this is really not that exciting. So you have your 76 degrees, and they want to split that, there's my hint for you, they want to split that into 2 reflections. How much would each individual reflection be? How are you going to figure it out? 76 what? Divided by 2. Can you do that in your head? What's 76 divided by 2? 38. So each one would be 38. So they're just having you come up with each individual reflection on it. That's all it is. This is as wild as the math gets today. Any questions on that? Okay, so tomorrow